You brush, you floss, you might even use mouthwash, but your breath still stinks. Oh! The truth is, when it comes to bad breath, most people are treating the wrong problem. If your breath stinks no matter what, there could be a hidden problem. But in this video, I want to help you find that hidden reason and then help you fix it for good. If you've ever felt self-conscious about your bad breath, you're not alone. Millions of people struggle with bad breath, and even when they do all the right things. But the reality is that most bad breath starts with bacteria that are not removed with basic oral hygiene. So let's break it down. I wrote down 5 of the biggest causes or the hidden causes of bad breath. Number 1 is dry mouth. Number 2 are gut issues. Number 3 are tonsil stones. Number 4 are sinus infections. And number 5 are hidden health conditions. So let's start with number 1. Saliva is your body's natural mouthwash, and it's your teeth and gums' natural bodyguard. It washes away food particles. It has pH buffers in it so it can balance out the acids in your mouth, and it can wash away bacteria in your mouth. Without enough saliva, bacteria can multiply faster, and in turn they can produce more of these sulfur compounds. Now these sulfur compounds are what most of the time smell terrible in your breath. Now what are some causes of dry mouth? Well, one big cause is mouth breathing. A lot of people overlook this cause of a dry mouth. But when you're breathing in and out of your mouth, it's one of the biggest causes of dehydration, but also not having enough saliva. If you think about it, try to fog up a glass or something like that. What you'd probably do is do something like that. Now try to do the same thing with your nose. Probably not gonna be able to fog it up. That's because your nose retains a lot of the moisture, but your mouth does not. It lets it all out. So a simple fix is to start breathing in and out of your nose. Now I made a lot of other content on this alone because I think it's really interesting, but also I think it's really important for a lot of other reasons. So check out the description below if you want to learn more about how to breathe through your nose more and all the other benefits you get from it. Now another cause of a dry mouth is being dehydrated. A lot of times people just don't drink enough water. Like if your main drink is just soda or coffee all day, those are things that are gonna dehydrate you even more. So make sure you're drinking enough water. But also another overlooked one is medications. A lot of times when you start taking more medications, a side effect is xerostomia, or in other words, a dry mouth. Some common medications that cause this are things like antidepressants, antihistamines, blood pressure medications. All of these can lower saliva. So what are some quick fixes to a dry mouth? Obviously, we talked about drinking more water and staying more hydrated, but also chewing more gum. Specifically, I like chewing gum that has xylitol because xylitol is an actual antibacterial, and the xylitol alone will actually help prevent cavities in the first place. So a xylitol chewing gum is cool because anytime you chew, you stimulate saliva. So let's say you have a meal, then you have some chewing gum right after. Now you're gonna be stimulating more saliva after that meal, and this is gonna help basically wash away the acids from that meal, wash away any bacteria or food particles from that meal, and also you get the added bonus of that xylitol. Another thing you might wanna try is using a humidifier. It's a really good idea at nighttime, especially if you're a mouth breather, because anytime you're sleeping, your body naturally produces less saliva. So having more humid air, especially if you're a mouth breather at nighttime, can help as well. Now the second cause of a dry mouth are gut issues. There's a ton of different gut issues that could be leading to bad breath. For example, if you have poor digestion, then you could have some food fermenting in the gut, and this could lead to the development of some gases that travel up into your breath. You might also have GERD or acid reflux. This is essentially when your stomach acids are getting pushed into your esophagus, into your throat, and sometimes even into your mouth. And this could lead to a really sour, like rotten egg type of smell in your breath. Some signs that you have a gut issue are if you have frequent heartburn, if you have bloating, or if you're burping a lot, or if you've ever been told you have ingestion problems or GERD. So if you feel like this is happening to you, some things that you can try doing are avoiding really spicy or acidic foods. Also avoiding processed foods can help. Also try to avoid eating right before bed. Like if you eat and then go straight to sleep, that could cause some digestion issues. So you want to give yourself a buffer of like a couple hours if possible. You might also want to look into some probiotics or prebiotics to help improve your digestion. Now, if you really think it's a gut issue, it'd be best to go to your doctor and discuss this with them so you can figure out a personalized plan for you. Now, the third cause are tonsil stones. Now, this is one of the biggest secret causes of bad breath, and it's literally lying in your throat. Tonsil stones are basically these calcified structures of food, bacteria, or different debris that have stuck or clung onto the back of your throat. And these are known to smell terribly. They produce a lot of this sulfur smell that are characterized in this bad breath, and they can also cause this constant bad taste in your mouth. So how do you know if you have tonsil stones? Well, a lot of times you can just check in the mirror. If you open your mouth and say ah in front of a mirror and try to see your tonsils, if you see these white or yellowish spots around your tonsils or in the back of your throat, those are most likely tonsil stones. Now luckily, it's usually pretty easy to get rid of these. A lot of times you can do it at home. You can gargle or swish with salt water or with a non-alcoholic mouthwash, or even if you have a water flosser that basically these things that shoot pulses of water, you can get a specific attachment that shoots in the back of your throat and can shoot off those tonsil stones. Now, some cases might be severe and you may need to go to a surgeon, like your ENT, to get them removed. But luckily, most of the time they can be removed at home. Now, when it comes to tonsil stones, I actually made another video talking about how you can help prevent getting tonsil stones. So I'm putting a link to that video in the description below if you want to learn more about that. Now, number 4 are sinus infections and post-nasal drip. This is basically when you have a lot of mucus, and this mucus is the cause of your bad breath. If you constantly have mucus that's in your throat, or you constantly have mucus in your nose, then your bad breath could be coming from the bacteria that are feeding from that mucus. Now, the 2 most common causes of this that I can think of are allergies, which lead to post-nasal drip, or just if you have chronic sinus infections. Both of these, you might want to talk to your ENT, your ear, nose, and throat doctor, to see what they say if this has been a chronic issue. But some simple fixes that you can try at home are using a spray that goes in your nostrils to basically clean them. So something like a Neil Med sinus rinse, which is basically when you put something in one nostril to clean out and flush out your sinuses, and then you do the same thing with the other nostril. If you're doing something like this, you might try to use like a neti pot or something like that, but I would avoid using straight tap water because sometimes tap water can have a bacteria in it, and this bacteria might actually lead to an infection in your sinus or even spread to your brain. So that's why I prefer to use an actual sterile rinse so that we know it's a clean thing going into a clean environment. And you might want to address your allergies, like taking an antihistamine and even talking to your allergist. Now, I did make another video that might actually help with this topic. It's talking more about how you can unblock your nose, and there's a series of steps that can help. And at the end of it, it basically talks about how you can basically clear up your sinuses a lot. So I'm putting a link to that in the description below. Now, number 5 are hidden health conditions. This is basically when bad breath is a warning sign that you should get something else checked out. For example, if you have diabetes, you can get a condition called ketoacidosis. This is basically when you have really high blood sugar and you can have a really fruity or acetone-like smell in your breath. And going off of that, gum disease is also related to diabetes because when you have a lot of inflammation in your gums, then this can also raise your blood sugar levels and make you more likely to get diabetes. Your blood essentially in this case gets more sticky. That's why diabetes is such a problem. But it also shows how the mouth and the rest of your body are related. So if you've been neglecting taking care of your gums, this could also be related to that. Now, your gums alone could be the cause of your bad breath, but in this case, it could also be the health condition. You could also potentially have liver or kidney disease. This can cause like a fishy or ammonia-like odor in your breath. And this basically happens because your body is struggling eliminating waste. So if you've tried a bunch of other things and your bad breath has been persistent and you know it's not getting any better, it might be worth getting some blood work done and going to your doctor to see if there's any other possible systemic conditions going on. So how can you fix your bad breath for good? There are some things that we have not talked about that a lot of people are overlooking. The number one thing that people overlook is cleaning your tongue. Your tongue is where most of these bad smelling bacteria lie. Like 90% of the bacteria that smell terrible and produce these sulfur compounds are literally living on your tongue. And what you want to do is use a tongue scraper. You don't want to just brush your tongue with your toothbrush because that doesn't really work so well. You want to get one of these scrapers that literally what you do is you just scrape your tongue from the back to the front and then you rinse it with some water. It's super easy to use, but you'll notice how much of a difference this can make in your breath. And a lot of the other stuff we already talked about. We talked about addressing your dry mouth, like breathing less through your mouth and breathing more through your nose and chewing more gum, specifically something that has xylitol. We talked about changes to your diet and addressing any gut issues, which again might involve going to the doctor, changing certain parts of your diet, like limiting processed foods, limiting spicy foods or acidic foods if you have GERD. But something else I want to add is mouthwash. A lot of people think that mouthwash is the key to fixing their bad breath, but sometimes mouthwash can make it worse. I really am not a fan of alcohol mouthwashes because alcohol mouthwashes, they might kill bacteria, but they'll also dry your mouth. The alcohol specifically in it is what dries your mouth. And we already know that having a dry mouth will cause bad breath. So I would rather have you use a non-alcohol mouthwash. Now, in general, I'm not a big fan of mouthwashes, but there are a couple that I like. My favorite is probably something called Carry Free, which is like a pH balancing mouthwash. It has xylitol in it, and it also can balance out the pH in your mouth. and also there's no alcohol in it. So final takeaways for you in this video are there are a ton of reasons that you might have a dry mouth, and it's not always just as simple as brushing and flossing. So if you feel like you've been frustrated about your bad breath, try some of these techniques that I talked about and try addressing some of these issues that I mentioned in this video. Obviously, along with the stuff I talked about, it's gonna be assuming that you already are brushing and flossing every day and that you are taking good care of your teeth and that you're going to your dentist every 6 months and doing all the right things, but you wanna add all the other things to it. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below, and I will see you in the next video. What if I told you that skipping flossing could do more than just giving you cavities and bad breath? Scientists are actually finding a new discovery linking the bacteria that live in your mouth to Alzheimer's disease. Yep, turns out that neglecting your gums might not just cost you that date. It could cost you your memory too. So how could this happen? Well, Alzheimer's